Chairman, I want to thank the witnesses for your testimony today. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for teeing up this hearing on an issue where there appears to be wide bipartisan recognition that, yes, America, we do have a problem when it comes to our retirement savings as a nation and what we're facing. But I'm also encouraged hearing a lot of consensus developing over possible solutions to this problem, one of which I'm proud to have reintroduced the Retirement Enhancement and Savings Act with my good friend Mr. Kelly this week, the so-called RESA bill. We came very close last year getting it across the finish line, and I think that's one item that hopefully we can find an early date this year to move forward on, given the importance of the shortfall of retirement savings. And this is really an evolution or another iteration of legislation that I had introduced about 10 years ago with former member of this committee, Mr. Reichert, called the SAVE Act, recognizing that one of the great black holes we have with retirement savings in our country is in the small business world. And how do we increase incentives through that, whether it's through the SAVE Act or RESA bill right now, to reduce costs, reduce administrative burden, reduce the liability exposures with safe harbors, address some serious issues that needed to be addressed with charities and rural co-ops, for instance, allowing the expansion of multi-employer plans, and also some lifetime income streams, too, products being offered. So we're hoping we'll be able to build on that bipartisan support for it and the bicameral support that we know exists, too. And Mr. Chairman, with your leadership in this whole sphere, I think it's going to be important for us to try to move forward on that one aspect of the retirement stool that needs increased attention. But Mr. Crandall, looking at you, since I read your testimony, you did have some good things. You endorsed the RESA bill and had some important things that you comment on it. Let me ask you in one particular area on the multi-employer plan, the open MEPs, as they're called, and the important role that they can play to allow small businesses to congregate and form a much larger pool in order to offer these retirement savings to their employees. How important is that provision with the legislation?
And we believe it's very important, and we think retirement plan providers such as ourselves would embrace offering those kind of plans. Again, particularly being able to lower the admin costs is very critical. So we think that's one of the important parts of RESA.
Yeah, you know, in the original SAVE Act, contemplating a simple IRA, simple 401ks, now with the various lifetime income products that are available out there too, just encouraging more choices, you know, for the small businesses and their employees to get into. But getting to Mr. Hofstadter's original point too about one of the most powerful forces in nature is inertia, just getting people to do something. It's one major laws of physics that a stationary object will remain stationary until something propels it forward or collides with it. I hope that collision isn't the huge retirement savings shortfall that we're facing, the crisis there. In the recent bill, we have some tax incentives to encourage auto-enroll, auto-escalation. How important do you think, Mr. Hofstadter, that will be to increase the number of participants with small businesses?
My team has already seen the 1%, the first 1% increase, and I think only 5 of them went into the system because they have total control over all of their money and reduced it back down to 5%. So people are excited to see this number grow over time. I've heard a lot of feedback that it just doesn't feel like a lot is coming out of my check. And I think they're surprised at how easy it's been for them to adjust their lifestyle to that, you know, to the increasing number over time.
Yeah, you know, inertia has the ability of working both ways. You do auto-enroll with an opt-out for employees, but chances are, and as I think you cited in your testimony, very few of them choose the opt-out provision then once they're in and once they start seeing that savings start to accumulate. So trying to put a lot of this on automatic pilot, I think, and overcoming the inertia that exists in human nature is one of the keys to increasing the personal retirement savings habits of us Americans, just getting us to do something and sticking with it. And with the magic of compound, as you said earlier, Mr. Crandall, perhaps we can start turning the ship around before it's too late. And I also just, he just took off, but I want to commend Mr. Larson for taking on the tough task of Social Security reform. It's long overdue. We've known it for decades, that we've had an insolvency problem, a 75-year shortfall that needs to be fixed. He's come out with a courageous plan that he's starting to take shots from already. We're interested to hear details from the other side, quite frankly. They were in the majority for 8 years, but they did not offer any detailed proposed plan on how we fix the 75-year shortfall with Social Security. So hopefully we can continue this conversation and work through whatever differences may exist so we can finally take some action where it's needed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank the gentleman. With that, let me recognize the gentlelady, Ms. Włodarczyk.